60 largest banks in the world have invested $3.8 trillion in fossil fuels since the Paris Agreement.
Here's a summary of the article.
A new report, published Wednesday from a collection of climate organizations entitled Banking on Climate Chaos 2021, finds 60 of the world's largest commercial and investment banks have collectively put $3.8 trillion into fossil fuels from 2016 to 2020, the 5 after the Paris Agreement was signed. The 3 banks that did the most fossil fuel financing in 2020, according to the report, were J.P. Morgan Chase at $51.3 billion, Citi at $48.4 billion, and Bank of America with $42.1 billion. A representative of J.P. Morgan Chase told CNBC Make It that the bank could not comment on a third-party report. In the post, Citi said it will work with existing fossil fuel banking clients to transition first to a public reporting of greenhouse gas emissions and then to a gradual phase-out of financing offered to companies that don't comply in adhering to carbon reduction standards. The Banking on Climate Chaos 2021 report comes as indicators show global economies are not currently on track to meet the emissions reductions established as part of the Paris Agreement in 2015. The report authors aggregate bank lending and underwriting data using Bloomberg's League credit methodology, meaning credit is divided between banks playing a leading role in a given transaction, and uses data from Bloomberg Finance LP and the Global Coal Exit List. Draft report findings are shared with banks in advance, and they are given an opportunity to comment on financing and policy assessments, the report says.
This post received a score of 38,000, with an upvote ratio of 90%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I don't know why the story doesn't put useful benchmark data in here easily. If you want to benchmark the headline, here is my attempt using data scattered in the article. This is because of COVID, it appears. Not a concerted effort to lower fossil fuel investing. I initially left this out of my post, which is misleading itself.
Yeah, I find that journalists often struggle with how to properly phrase multiplicator per percent changes. On an annual basis, total fossil fuel financing dropped 9% in 2020, is just such a poor way of describing a percent change. Does this mean that the total financing over the course of 2020 was 9% less than that of 2019? Anytime you are giving a percentage, you really need to specify the value that is being used as reference. From, on the same issue, have increased that funding to $3.8 trillion US in the past 5 years, increased to $3.8 trillion from what? 3.7 trillion? 1 trillion? Give us some sort of context so we can actually understand how messed up this is.
Greater than yeah. I find that journalists often struggle with how to properly phrase multiplicative per percent changes. Because they're not statisticians. If media wants to be taken seriously, media should have experts working in their fields making the comparisons and graphics. Specifically, this article calls for statistical analysis. They should have an in-house statistician to review this for accuracy and clarity before publication. I'd be more ready to pay news if the quality I found on their platforms wasn't consistently worse than Reddit and Twitter.
I think there's a whole industry of financial analysts that actually do this sort of thing properly. Or not.
There are. A bunch are on Twitter, or they have blogs, email lists, and write books. Sadly, a lot of media companies won't pay enough to have them, or fire them when say stuff the company owners and executives don't like.
Greater than a bunch are on Twitter, or they have blogs, email lists, and write books. And a lot more. Read. The vast majority just work regular jobs that require their skill set.
They didn't invest in, which would mean they are committing firm capital to buy equity or bonds in fossil fuel companies. They provided debt financing, business loans to fossil fuel companies, like they do with literally every legal business in existence.
Incredibly misleading headline for sure. Further, lending in general grew massively in 2020.
No shock there.
It gets clicks, so it will keep on happening.
Why would companies, who are supposed to make money, stop investing while it's profitable? Regardless, they did not invest, which would mean take their own capital and buy into it.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.